Loki, Season 2. This will be the full spoiler review. I have a review up on soundofbettermyhead.com. Very little spoilers in there at all. I tried to clean up as best I could. I ended up giving this season a 3 out of 5. I enjoyed each individual episode. There was a couple that a little weaker, but overall, I was enjoying them on a weekly basis. But the overall story was never that strong. Except I do think that the season finale really kind of sealed the deal. Really made this, Loki's journey and everything that happened during the season, as far as Loki was, regarded. That was the payoff. Everything else was just kind of window dressing, to be honest. Last season ended with it looked like Kang was coming. You already back to TVA. It looked like it was an alternate timeline where Kang was now in charge of things, and that was the setup we had. Apparently going to the season 2. Pretty quickly to find out Loki actually just went back in time in the TVA, and I guess He Who Remains was actually pretty out in the open about ruling the place before you erase everybody's memories. And then what seemed like it was going to be a big deal, we had Loki's time slipping. That was actually resolved almost immediately. It looked like the next threat was going to be something to do with the Loom, which I was also assuming was going to be wrapped up immediately. That actually turned out to be the driving threat for the rest of the season, going up to really to the last episode. And I said at that point there was a lot of weird detours that just didn't quite pan out. They had to recruit Victor Timely. You had Renslayer and Ms. Minutes teaming up to be bad guys essentially. You had Sylvie doing her own thing, and her and Loki not being on the same page anymore. And then the whole thing will eventually he had to kind of regather the forces after they were all lost to their proper timelines, and really none of that, as far as the plot was concerned, was that important. It was all, like I said, it all actually added up to Loki's journey get to a certain point, but you don't know that when you're watching it. As far as the different character stuff, like I said, it was Loki's journey, him going from someone that was basically a loner to finding friends and loved ones that he actually cared about, to basically making a sacrifice to becoming, a different type of god. A god that was like a selfless god. There's a lot of the side stuff. He has some nice, like I said, emotional moments. Of course, his friendship with Mobius is what still continues to drive the series. Thank God, Mobius didn't have to relearn who Loki was. He got to a point where they were friends again, not that memory loss or back in time stuff. Mobius didn't get much outside the stuff with Loki. They did try to delve into his past, not only as a hunter at one point, but on how he was on his timeline. He was a guy with kids. I don't think the payoff for that was really anything spectacular. I was kind of hoping they would have done more with his payoff, but at least he got his jet ski, which is what a lot of people wanted. Without B-15 and Casey both got became strong supporting characters. It's kind of, like I said, they were just there for support. They didn't get a whole bunch of background stuff for the most part. They had their little, we see where they came from on the timelines and who they were before they were in the TVA, but they were just there for support. I thought Obi was a fantastic gain. He's to the show. He's quirky. He had a good sense of humor to it. His enthusiasm and his kind of bluntness. Just actually, everything he did was pretty entertaining. Renslayer, it felt like they struggled to give her something to do. It's okay, she's just gonna be the bad guy. She didn't seem to have a clear plot. I don't know what she was trying to do. I know she wanted to be in charge of the TVA, but she was basically gonna let the whole thing blow up to delete it, even though that would leave nothing left. There was some interesting twists with Minutes. See how sentient she truly is, and she has her own motivations. She got pretty dark. She massacred gleefully massacred an entire room of TVA employees. And I said it kind of hit maybe there was to be something cool with her. I was kind of disappointed we didn't get some kind of physical body for her at some point. But as I said, she just kind of got dropped. She had her own little thing going on, and then everybody, their stuff kind of got dropped for Loki. Victor Timely, honestly, ultimately was unnecessary. The character himself was a little bit grating. He's a really kind of goofy, weird personality. I know Jonathan Majors is trying to play yet another version of the same essential guy. We already see his version of Kang as He Who Remains. Then he did the Ant-Man or the Wasp Kang, and now you got Victor Timely. I know he's trying to make him feel like different characters, so he took it kind of this weird route. The guy was ultimately kind of lovable, but he said just his really weird personality kind of made him hard to watch sometimes. The biggest disappointment was Sylvie. I mean, season 1 was really about essentially a love story between Loki and Sylvie. And then season 2, she's kind of not in it a lot, and she's got that whole connection with Loki just feels kind of gone. If anything, she's got more of an antagonistic relationship with him again, because they're just kind of butting heads a lot. And they said that would have the Loki story ultimately was not a love story after season 1 and 2, but it is disappointing that that's what season 1 was, for that to be dropped so heavily in season 2, especially when they were kind of hinting for a while, like in the finale especially, they looked like he was gonna have to kill her. So at least that was kind of like, okay, he's got to kill the girl he loves, and that never actually materialized. The show looked fantastic. I thought that the effects looked movie quality. Some of the better, especially even some of the Marvel movies haven't looked that good lately. So for the TV show looked that good, it was pretty impressive. The great sets as always, especially at the TVA. You had some, kind of flashback stuff. There was some really nice stuff done there, like the World's Fair. I thought they got some really cool time travel sci-fi concepts going. There was a really great bit with Loki basically interacting with Obi in the past, which was affecting Obi in the present. There was a lot of chicken and the egg, snake eating his own tail references. Like, really thought the show was going to build towards, like, this whole thing was like a big time loop where, Victor Timely would actually end up becoming He Who Remains, and then this is how all the TVA guys actually got recruited from their timelines. I thought there was going to be, like, it was just so hinted so heavily that there was a time loop stuff going on. It really didn't pan out like that, which was fine, but like I said, other than that, there was some decent time travel paradox shenanigans going on, like the classic sci-fi stuff. As far as, like I said, Loki's ending, it's a little bit ambiguous, but basically he's the new He Who Remains, watching over the timeline, although he seems to be presumably a little bit more hands-off. Just thought the whole very striking sequence. I love the final sequence of him regaining his Loki costume or a new one, and taking all these strands of the timeline and dragging them with him. Because his cape almost basically became part of the timeline, so that was some cool visuals. But I guess that's about it. I don't have a lot to say about the show. It's only 6 episodes, and it's almost, you could break it down to, like, the first 5 episodes was a story about trying to fix this loom, which actually ended up being irrelevant, and then the final episode being the cap off to, like, what was Loki's story. Which season 1's a bit like that too. You had this big build up to a certain point, and then you meet He Who Remains, and the show almost takes a 180 to an extent, maybe not that far, but it took a pretty big change of course. On that, I guess I'll go through my notes, see if there's anything else I want to mention about different episodes. Got no printer ink, so I'm just going to use the laptop. If anyone watches these videos and they see me with my little paper all the time, well, no paper today. I just got done praising the CGI, but I did think some of the CGI in the first episode didn't look that great. The flying car and some of the He Who Remains or Kang statues, whatever you want to say, I thought they looked a little nah. There was some fun moments. I liked Casey being a big fan of Obi, and then later on in the later episode, where Timely and Obi are fans of each other because they both technically co-wrote the TVA manual. Again, there's some little cute time travel stuff there. I really love that interrogation scene where they were interrogating Brad. He was really giving it to him. There was some pretty good tension there. I never bought the second interrogation scene that Loki was actually going to kill the guy, but I did like, Loki bringing that intensity back at him. Thought that was really well done. A little odd note that I thought was interesting is that when they went to the World's Fair, you seen that there was a little thing about the Norse gods, and it's just interesting how, like, how normal people saw these people for so long, like Loki and Thor and all those guys, as these gods, and that they kind of really exist. So it's just little trippy, I guess. Thought the episode 3 there was a little couple chase sequences throughout, and they were a little wonky. They were a little cheesy. And again, you met Victor Timely, who I thought was a little, eh. And again, some stuff we didn't know was I always assumed that He Who Remains conquered the other Kangs, created his sacred timeline, and then brought the TVA in to kind of guard it. But now it looks like the TVA actually were his fighting force, with Renslayer being at his side, and they helped him secure victory. And then he went and erased all their memories. And again, then we get to episode 5 already. Loki having to recruit everybody from their original timelines. It was all right. Like, I didn't really know what to expect for Hunter B-15 or Casey. Obviously, we knew Mobius would tie into jet skis in some fashion. It was interesting to see in Obi, even though he's a newer character, seeing his past life or whatever. But again, it's a big setup that Loki needs to recruit everybody again, and it ended up being for nothing. Not even to help jumpstart Loki's power per se. It just I don't want to say wasted time, but again, it was more part of Loki's journey. And then obviously the season finale. I did love I like what they did at the beginning, where they put the Marvel logo in the intro basically in reverse. The episode did have a bit of a Groundhog Day feel, just where Loki was constantly redoing it and learning and redoing, and especially when they said it took him a couple centuries to learn all this technical knowledge. I think the original Groundhog Day, and I probably said this in another video where time travel came up, I think they were saying that there was a version where there was thousands of years passed for Bill Murray's character, he was trapped there for that long. So I guess again, it doesn't even matter that you're God or not. That's a pretty long time to be stuck somewhere. Although for Loki, a couple centuries might not be a big a deal. He's probably 1,500 years old, like Thor, so it might feel a little bit more like a drop in the bucket, but it's still probably a long time. I think that's about it. Like I said, I probably could go on and find a bunch of other stuff to talk about, but I think that's the important stuff. Again, you watch the show knowing that this is Loki's journey, getting him to this certain point, and then everyone else is just a kind of supporting character on his road. I think you can enjoy the show a lot more. You go in expecting this big thing with Kang, and then you get this thing with the time loom going on. You're just kind of like, okay, I'm enjoying the episodes, but I don't know where I'm going. I don't know about this overall trip. I think it kind of hurt the show a bit, having certain expectations going in. Which now, if you haven't watched it yet, and I just gave you certain expectations, I just might have ruined it for you, or maybe I made it better. Who knows? Like I said earlier, though, I got the non-spoiler version of this review up. I got other reviews. I got my comic strips. Those are all at soundedbettermyhead.com. Check those out if you want to. And other than that, thanks for watching.